Hi, my name's Mark. I'm a member of Strongmen Charity. I have been involved with the guys since August 21. A bit of background about how I got involved with Strongmen. Unfortunately, I've had a lot of death in my life from a young age. I lost my grandparents when I was 12. I lost 5 uncles when I was in my teenage years. I lost my mum when I was 21 and my dad when I was 30. I don't really have any family, so a lot of that grief was something that I had to kind of deal with on my own. Although I'm very lucky, I do have some friends that I would consider to be family. There's always that element of sort of feeling that people didn't quite understand, and it was hard to broach sort of how I was feeling in a lot of ways. So I would just bury it down and kind of crack on with life as such. I would just move forward and never really acknowledged that I probably wasn't dealing with grief in the right way. And I was lucky in some ways that my parents had always instilled in me to be quite an independent person. So I was always functioning as such, but there was always sort of the dark thoughts in the background, and I'm not really understanding that I wasn't behaving in a healthy way really. And over time that slowly got worse to the point where I was having very dark thoughts. Suicide, or suicidal thoughts should I say, has been an issue for me for quite a long time. And it's strange how it can come about with the triggers. I've had a couple of occasions where I've been very, very close, and I kind of realised I didn't want that to be the case. I didn't want my life to be dictated by this sort of darkness as such. So again, I'd always just figured that going to see someone or talk to someone wasn't going to be for me. I'm not naturally a sort of a talkative person and someone who goes out and seeks conversation as such. I'm more of an introvert really. So in 2021, I was having a particularly bad time. Not only sort of with the sort of historical stuff, but with work and relationships. It was all just becoming a lot. And I think I came across Strongmen online just through Instagram, I think. And again, I'd always kind of shied away from putting myself into social situations. I still do now, to be fair, but there was something about the way that they explained how they did things that it kind of appealed. Although the idea of going into a group of guys who I didn't know and sort of not being trapped, but being sort of with them all weekend was very unnerving. I kind of knew that the common denominator for us all was that we had all and were all experiencing grief in very different ways, of course, but you kind of knew that the people around you knew how you felt. And if you were acting a bit strange or a bit quiet, no one was going to judge you for that, because they knew you were going through something and they could empathize with that. And that just stood out to me. And the fact that also it's not just a case of necessarily going and sitting in a room and talking about your feelings, but actually we were out at Snowdon. We were going to go and climb up and down. There was a few activities involved, build a campfire and sort of sit around that and just have a cup of tea or a beer or some food. And it was just like a healthy way of actually acknowledging that you are going through something, but not necessarily having to talk about it. If you wanted to, the guys there would listen to you and open up about their side of things, or equally if you didn't want to talk about it, there was no pressure. And that was something that just really stuck with me, that you could actually acknowledge and sort of let grief be the thing, but not feel pressure in any way. You could do it on your own terms, and that's something that I think is amazing about Strongmen. Obviously, now that they organise so many different events, I've been to a rugby game with them, the Formula One factory, Alpine Racing, the Academy weekend, which is a bit of a myriad of different things: nutrition, physical fitness, mental well-being. And again, it's just all aimed at your general physical wellness. And then the other great thing about Strongmen is the groups, the chat groups that we all have going around. And I admit I'm not someone who's super chatty in them. It's just not my nature. But a lot of guys in there are constantly just shooting the shit and just being guys. But if there's been an occasion where someone's struggling or having a bad time, maybe it's an anniversary of their particular event, the guys will get around them, and it'll go from just as much as a little message to guys offering to pop around for a cup of tea or meet up for a beer. And it's great to see guys just supporting each other with sort of no stress or no sort of, again, I just go back to that word pressure, but you can just do it on your own terms. So if anyone out there who's thinking about maybe getting involved, I would just recommend to do it. There is no pressure. You can completely do it on your own terms, at your own pace. You're just going to go and spend the time with a group of guys who kind of know what you're going through, and I can't speak highly enough for the work they do and are continuing to do. So thank you so much for Strongmen for everything you do, and I'm very grateful to be a part.